All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, May 24th, and this is a check-in meeting on active design and usability tasks for Backdrop CMS. Starting on our website, backdropcms.org, the biggest problem we have on the site right now is people's inability to be able to tell which modules, themes, and layouts are ready for Backdrop or necessary for Backdrop. And that's because our module themes and layouts pages search box doesn't work very well. Those pages right now are using views, and they're using a views combined fields filter in order to get that search working. And so I had a brainstorm idea this morning that we might be able to do a query alter in order to change the weight on the fields in the combined fields filter for views. That might solve the problem for us. The biggest problem is that the title field does not have a heavier weight than the body field. And so when you search for something specific, the order that comes back is sort of arbitrary rather than having like the name of the module you search for is the first item in the list. So that is one thing I thought of. I haven't tried it. I don't know if it'll work or not. But we do need to figure out some way to make those pages return the results in the right order when you do a search. Another idea would be to replace the views filters on those pages with core search. If we could figure out a way to make the search boxes limit their results in various different interfaces. So if we could use the module search to search only modules and the theme search to search only themes and the layouts to only layouts, that could be an option. I don't think that's supported in core, but there might be a contrib module in Drupal 7 that we could use for that, or we could write something specifically for Backdrop that would give us multiple search boxes, and the search boxes could have different functionality associated with them, so that's an option. Another thing we talked about was switching from using core search to Solr search, but I'm a little hesitant to do that even though it's a good fit for backdropcms.org. It's not going to be improving this problem for everybody else who's trying to use search on their own sites in various different ways. Neither would be hacking our own query with a query alter function. But if this goes on for too much longer, it's going to start hurting Backdrop that our website isn't working well. So if setting up Solr and getting Solr search is going to solve this problem and make everything better for Backdrop, except for Backdrop core search, that's probably better than leaving it the way it is now. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on which direction we should move in terms of fixing our module search, but I am hoping to work on that today.
Is the same problem valid for like the project browser? The search is the same thing happening? I remember some
search is a custom thing that only applies to the project browser. We might have the same problem where I don't know what fields it's searching on, and it might need those fields to be weighted differently, but that at least is a very like concrete place to fix it. Whereas on our website, like how to build a module search page on our website is kind of arbitrary. Like we could choose to do it in any number of different ways. And so the solution that we implement to fix it there, though it might be the same problem with like field weights, the solution will be different depending on the architecture we decide on for building that page.
Was there any contrib module that was exposing any interface for D7 to use to adjust the weight of the fields without?
I haven't looked extensively. I know there are modules for Drupal 7 that adjust the weight of the fields for core search, but I don't know if those can be used to create different instances of core search. Like we would need one that was specific to modules, one to themes, and one to layouts. And so right now we're using views for that. I don't know, but I suspect there might be a module for Drupal 7 that will allow us to weight those exposed field rankings for views. That sounds like a fairly common use case, although it is fairly complicated. I would not be surprised if that existed for Drupal 7 in one state or another. Maybe there's a sandbox or a dev project or something that we could use for that. But it wouldn't surprise me if that existed. I haven't looked. Nate, do you have any thoughts on fixing search for backdropcms.org?
No, I haven't looked into it. I'm not even sure which way would be easier. I mean, Solar's got its own, I mean, it would solve the search problem, but it's got its own infrastructure overhead and we need to set it up. And I'm not even sure if we have a search API module equivalent available for Backdrop yet, although, you know, that's a port, so it wouldn't be terrible. We do already have it?
I don't know, but we should. So, you know, if we needed to make one, that would be good anyway.
Yeah, that would be a good use case.
So no, I don't have any direct.
Okay. Well, I'll do some more research then today and see what exists for Drupal 7 and what other people might be doing in this space. But I would love to make some progress on getting our pages cleaned up. Okay. Forum. So the forum site has had a couple minor improvements recently. We've got the search box added and the search results are looking okay. That's using Core Search, searching the whole site for everything. The email templates, we had some feedback that they weren't super useful, perhaps too verbose. One of them didn't contain an unsubscribe link. So Doc Woma's done a bunch of work on that. I pulled down his pull request yesterday. It looks really good. I'm going to merge it and deploy it today. And then we'll get those emails updated for everyone. There's also another recommendation that we change the subjects so that when someone posts a topic and then later on people post comments, they all thread together appropriately. So I'll try and figure out what the email subjects need to be so that they thread properly, so they match. And then it looks like there is, Cronus, I think this might be your issue, the code block styling. And this is probably, or no, this is, I don't know, I think you might have pointed out on backdropcms.org, but there's something about our code blocks that don't look great or at least consistent across our sites. And I think it was Tim pointed out that in the WYSIWYG editor, the drop-down menu that tells you what your styles are is set to a fixed width. And so you can't read the text of what style you're selecting. And so I'm not really sure how much control we have over that because it's a CK editor widget. But we can see if maybe we can like force it either with CSS on our end or JavaScript on our end to make that field as wide as is necessary for the content within it.
This might be related. I don't know if you saw my message on Gitter. That's with the b.org site. If you select to format something that's inline, like within a sentence, like a bit of code, then that does not get applied on the front end. Like you can see it on the in edit mode in CK editor, but when you save it, doesn't get applied.
What tag is it? Just a span tag?
Yeah, it's a span with monospace.
Okay, that tag might be getting stripped out by the editor. That should be a pretty quick fix. I can look at that too. That might have been what I was thinking of. It's your issue. And which site was that on? Was that probably on all of them? But...
I was actually I saw it while I was editing Rick's post about the dev and backdrop.
Okay.
I'll file a ticket for that because I just messaged you on Gitter and it might get lost, so I'll file a ticket for that so we don't get that.
Okay, great.
Also, before we move on from forum thing, I didn't take a lot of part because I didn't have time in the whole build of the forum, but this reminds me of Mike's suggestion with the recipes and everything. Is there anything that we have done for the forum that can be reused, as in, you know, a backdrop recipe or distribution? Because we do not have a forum module anymore.
Well, so we do have a forum module, and I think that's also a little confusing because people try and use the forum module and think they're going to get a backdrop forum, but we're not using the forum module on the forum. Exactly. I think, like, in terms of what we have that can be reused, as soon as we come up with what a recipe is, we can take all of the configuration that the forum site is running and package it together as a good use case for our recipe. So all of that configuration is also already in version control on GitHub. And so anytime anyone asks, at least on the forum, how the forum was made, I point them at our repository and go, this is where all of our stuff is. And they can use our configuration as like config sync import in order to get all the content types and taxonomy that we're using there. So I think it's not ideal because it's not packaged as a recipe right now, but it is at least public and available for anyone if they wanted to make a copy. All right, so that's it for our websites right now. The other ones seem to be doing fine. Back to the product. I don't know, Nate, if you want to talk about some of these issues.
Sure. Sorry, I'm doing code reviews. Okay, so
let's skip issue 37 and
what's that?
Let's skip issue 37 and I'm just kidding.
Oh. Okay, let's see here. So, gosh, I haven't actually looked at most of these. Hang on. So there's some design-related problems that we have that could use a designer's eye, and that includes issue 2873, which is a change to the way the requirements list shows up on the installer. Like if there's a problem that makes it so that Backdrop cannot be installed, how we display that both on desktop and on mobile is a bit uncertain at the moment. We actually have a direction there that Olaf suggested that I think is pretty good. So it could be that may not need design eye so much as a capable front ender to do some table styling, which is never a pretty thing to accomplish. So that's issue 2873. Currently, no code behind that, but we have some concepts there. Issue 2353 is a database log design. Oh yeah, and this is, we are kind of stuck in a nobody really agrees position here on what to do about just the list of recent log entries, or the watchdog table as people would normally call it. And so we could use some feedback there from UX people or designers on what to do about structuring that page. Let's see, user experience issues. We've got issue 37, which is one of our oldest issues regarding what to do on the modules page, making it so that modules can be searched for or categorized by more than a single package name is what we have right now. And we're suggesting that we, in addition to packages, also have a concept of tags so that modules can be grouped together in multiple ways, both for the main, or both for the modules page and for when you're doing a search in the installer module, like pulling things from backdropcms.org. Ultimately, tags would be used in both of those places. So we were discussing this issue before the broadcast started, and Gregory and Jen are teaming up against me here, that I'm showing resistance to adding more user interface elements on the modules page that could be adding noise. And part of that is probably paranoia from the module filter module from 777, which totally went over the top. But it's been suggested that what we could do here as a compromise is not add any new user interface elements to the modules page, just continue to only have the search box, but have the search box include this capability to search tags as well. And then we get the basic functionality of having modules that can be categorized in either the package or by tags. But then the interface of the page, at least the control elements, still stay the same as they are currently, which is basically just a single search box that also happens to include the ability to search tags. So I posted an update to that issue at the beginning of this meeting before we started the broadcast. If we want to take that approach, I don't think anybody would, anybody being me, would argue against it. even though it's less ambitious than what that issue currently encompasses. Let's see. Next up, issue 2681. There is an issue just that when we split up the way that display modes work on content types, the tabs or local tasks are missing from those pages. We have a pull request there to fix that problem. So I think Jen marked to RTBC. So I think that we're good to go actually on that one. Let's see, issue 3141, also having to deal with managed display or managed view modes or display modes on content types. Looks like this is a new issue and new pull request that the page title there is just incomplete. Right now it just says the name of the content type, not the fact that you're modifying a display mode for that content type. So what the display mode is and what content type it is on is not clear from those page titles. So we have a pull request there, and that one needs review in issue 3141. Next up, issue 2858. Let's see, I haven't looked at this one. Oh, this is great. So this has to do with upgrading modules, and in particular upgrading from Drupal 7, I believe, that if there are dependencies when doing updates, which you can specify through hook update requirements, the message that we have right now saying that updates are unable to run because of dependency issues on previous updates, the message is not very clear at all. And so this is a suggestion that we rework the way that those messages are shown, or at least the content of those messages, to make it clear that some updates are skipped or cannot be run when running update.php. It looks like this one needs work. And it looks like there's actually still some discussion there about what is the best solution there, whether or not we use errors or warnings or just description text. There's a lot of discussion happening there around how we can make that as clear as possible.
I think this is related to another ticket that I filed recently. It's not added in the list, but I think the use of these warnings makes sense. Like, it's not text. There are messages that we need to convey to the people. It's not, literature or help text that is always there. It appears on certain occasions, not always there.
Yeah. So warning. You're saying that that's the right thing to do here.
Yeah, although the last screen that I see, the last screenshot, makes it a bit confusing that you see both a warning that says that you have pending updates and one that says no pending updates. But that's, I think we can fix the message in the success thing to say, I don't know, something as, I don't know, I can't think right now. I'll think of something, but still, it's the right direction, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Next up is issue 2302, which is, Gregor, you filed this one, that the search box on the account listing page, the manage accounts main admin listing, had the label name, but name doesn't actually search fields that you may have also set up on your site for, like, first name and last name. And so the solution there for now, because not all sites have a first name and last name set up on user accounts, and even if they do, we don't necessarily know what they're called, is just to specify that field searches username, not name, which could be more comprehensive. And so simple solution there is just to rename that label so that it is username instead of name, to make it clear what we're actually searching. And that one is actually merged as of yesterday, so that's great. We can knock that off our list for future meetings. And lastly is issue 2923, which is adding settings to the search block form. We tried to get this in for the last release, but we hit a little bit of contention there. The status of this one currently is that there's a great pull request that adds multiple new capabilities to the search block form, including making it so that you can hide the label and put placeholder text in the search box block when you place it on the page. But there's some contention around hiding the field label entirely, whether or not it should be removed entirely from the page or just hidden from the page and marked with an element invisible for the purposes of accessibility. So there's some discussion going on in there. Let's see what the current status is. In 2923.
So I think we're just trying to figure out if, like, from a UI standpoint, if we're always going to ask people, like, require them to provide a value for the label, even if the label won't be shown. Or if we want to say, if they say don't show the label, do we default the value to search and not require that they provide something?
Sorry, what was that again? Sorry, I didn't get it.
So the issue is we're giving them an option to override the label for the search field. But right now, the way the user interface is they have to check the box to say, like, provide a label. But if we remove that checkbox for provide a label and always provide a label, the question is, what do we put in the label if they haven't defined it? Like, do we require that they put something in the label, or do we just fall back to using search if they haven't defined it?
Yeah, so
I was thinking we just use search, and then that way we can give them the same user interface. And then that way they're like, when you say show a label, you're requested to add a label. When you don't say show a label, we still put it in the source code and mark it as element invisible so that screen readers will read it, but the screen readers will read search unless they've specifically chosen to override it, in which case it'll show up. Or the other use cases, like, do they want to customize the word search but have it hidden, in which case we need to require that they provide that word even though we're going to hide it. So just like, how do we communicate that even though they've said don't show the label, they have to provide a label because screen readers will read it? Or do we not communicate that and just use search?
How about we provide a field for the search, and then we have a checkbox for hiding it, but it says it will still be visible to screen readers, or something like that. Yeah, I'll think about it, but I can't think of anything right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now there's like a states issue where, like, if you don't check the box, it doesn't show the field. So I just need to know if we can remove that or not. Do we always show the field? Do we not show the field? Do we require the field?
Right, and that's what, yeah, that would be the alternative, would be always showing the field and then putting the checkbox below the text field for the label, rather than making it the text field
required
on the checkbox.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I meant before when I said maybe my words were not clear, but yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Okay.
but from a UI standpoint, I can see why it would be confusing. Like, why would I provide a label that I can't see?
Yeah.
So you'd have to add a description that says, you know, this will still be read by screen readers, even though you can't see it. And then it's just like, yeah.
Yeah, and then it might break the consistency of the page, because I see, if it is the most recent implementation is what I see in the screenshot there, you will have another set of two checkbox field, and then that thing would be the opposite. It would be a field and a checkbox, and people would.
I think my preference would be to have the user interface behave how people would expect, where they would say show it and then they would get a field. But if they don't say to show it, we would still print it on the page, but we would just use the text search. So it's not customizable, but it's still there. Because then it's not quite as confusing.
Yeah. Or even we could use the value that is customized, even though it's not shown, which on the admin form, which is also,
yeah, that would be clever, because then if you did have that weird use case of like it shouldn't say search, it needs to say like find a dog or whatever, like it would you'd have a weird workaround where you wouldn't need to write custom code. I think I've done that a lot of times in views, right? Where you have to like change the fields and configure the fields, and then you change it back to like the other format where all the fields disappear, but it's using the field values. So like there's a lot of that already where you like need access to something that's hidden, so you can unhide it and you configure it and then you hide it again and the value saved. So I think that's fine. As for supporting the use case, even though it's a little weird, but it's better for the like majority use case.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try it. I'll reroll the PR and see what people think. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right.
And that's it. That was the last issue in the product UX design issues category. So
I have another couple of issues that are interrelated and can be added. Filed them recently. It's 3142 and 3143. So there is a use case when there's a dependency that has not been met for at least one module. You reach the step in the installer where it asks you to enable things. I think I have screenshots there as well. And the only button that shows there is cancel.
Huh.
So the first issue, the 3142, is actually a bug, because it makes it so that when you reach the page and you have both a module that can be enabled and at least one that has a dependency that is meant, you cannot enable the module that you should.
The one that can be enabled can't be enabled.
Yes. So you have people, being able to click the checkboxes to select modules from the top list, the top table, where it's modules without dependencies, but there's no submit button for that.
Okay.
This is a UX bug. And the other one, which is related to that, is maybe it's better if you have a single module that has a dependency and you reach that page. It's like when I was going through the installer, because it was in my head, and I have in my head a sequence, and I expect something to happen at the end. I reach a page where there's a lot of literature, there's just a cancel button, and I have to read to understand what's going on. This is sort of like more like a task, and my thoughts, I still want some feedback on that, but my thoughts was maybe we can change the message above to be an actual message, like the text that we have, to be an info message, like a blue message that says, oh, you can. So this is a similar case with the text that we had in the installer, in the actual installer, where we converted the text that we had into a warning. This does not need to be a warning. It can be a info message. And then perhaps the help text that is underneath there that says these modules are missing dependencies, or even the entire row of the module that has a dependency, I would think that it's better if it's like it had a different color, like a red color or something, to signify that there's something wrong. Because all I'm reading in that page is like, I don't know what's going on.
Okay. So it looks like these are also related to there's another issue that I put in the developer meeting bugs, Nate, where Backup thinks 10 is less than 9. So like if you have a dependency, like you can see in the screenshots there of like 1.10 needs to be the requirement. So he put in like greater than 1.9, but it thinks that 9 is less than 10. So we just need to figure out.
What issue is this?
This is related. Let's see. I don't know. We can talk about it in the developer meeting. It's in that agenda.
Okay. All right. I think we need to end so that we can pick up the dev meeting in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
See you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.